Hey all, it's Sharon, and it is a cold, snowy day and the perfect day to make chai tea. So, I'm going to show you how I make homemade chai tea with all these great spices that are perfect for a cold day. They are warming. And the thing about chai is that with all the spices, you can always make it like a little different each time if you want. And it's good for all the doshas, particularly vata. And the thing about chai that is most important is that it's full of fresh ginger. So what I did is I actually took a huge chunk of ginger because I already started without you, and I didn't really even peel it that much, but I sliced it up and I used a whole half a cup and put it in this water, which is boiling now. So it is about a half a cup of ginger, and I put in about 5 cups of water, and I'm letting it boil for, I don't know, maybe just like 5 minutes or so. And then I'm gonna add all of my spices. And remember, these spices, they're warming, they're good for sinuses, for digestion, for colds, flu. They have antioxidant qualities, all these great things. And so I picked all these different spices that I like, that seem to work well. And what I did is I'm using a mortar and pestle, but you don't have to use a mortar and pestle. You could use like a coffee grinder or something. But this makes it easier. So what I put in here is a tablespoon of fresh cardamom, well, they're cardamom pods. So, and I took the whole pod and I put them in here, and then I smashed them. And then I also used probably a little bit less than a whole thing of nutmeg. I don't know, maybe part of one. And I put in about a half a teaspoon in here. And then I put in about a half a teaspoon of this star anise. Aren't these cute? They're little stars. They kind of have like a licoricey sort of taste. And so I used about 2 of these. And then I have about a teaspoon of cloves that I put in and 2 cinnamon sticks. And that's pretty much it. So on my recipe that I wrote down, it's a half a cup of sliced ginger, a tablespoon of cardamom pods, a teaspoon of whole cloves, about a teaspoon of freshly grated whole nutmeg, a half a teaspoon of star anise or anise seeds, and 2 cinnamon sticks. And so I've got my ginger and water boiling. So that's gonna go. It's probably should be about done. And I put everything in here and I just smash them. And I don't even have to do it like all that well, just enough to release the flavors. And I'm gonna strain it all out anyway, so that's why we don't want powders of anything. You know, it wouldn't work so well if I had like powdered cloves or powdered cinnamon. So I need kind of these pieces. It's kind of fun. And that's it. So now I'm gonna take this spice mixture and I'm gonna put it in my water. I'm gonna let that boil for about, 10 minutes, I think. So we'll come back. Okay, we're back. My spices have been boiling for about 10 minutes, and now it's time for me to add the milk. So you can use any kind of milk you want. You could use regular dairy, and if you're gonna use dairy, I highly recommend you use regular whole milk, nothing else, just straight up whole milk, and we can get into that at another time. But I have soy milk, so I'm gonna use that, or you could use unsweetened almond milk or anything that you want really, but just go with the unsweetened stuff. And you know, I really like this soy milk just because there's absolutely nothing in it but soybeans and water, so that's why I like it. So I'm gonna add this, and remember I started out with about 5 cups of water and ginger. I boiled that for a little bit while I mixed up my spices. Add the spices, I let that boil for about maybe 10 minutes. And now I'm gonna add the milk, and I'm gonna add about, I don't know, 3 or 4 cups about. So, yeah, so I'm gonna go with that. And this is kind of the fun part, because now I'm gonna add about, let's go with 3 cups, because that might be what I have left in here. It is, so let's just go with that. So I'm gonna add this, And then I'm gonna bring it to a boil again. And then once it gets kind of frothy, I'll turn it down and let it simmer for maybe another 10 minutes. And then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. So I am done boiling our spices here. So you can see probably that you can see all the spices and it's all cooling now. So what I did is I added the milk and then it came to like a frothy boil and then I just let it simmer for about 10 minutes so that it would all just kind of, you know, get all the spices in. And then I turned off the heat and I just let it sit and then I added a couple of tablespoons of maple syrup. You could add any sweetener or no sweetener or whatever you want. But that's what I used. And so here's the thing is that at this point, I don't even have any actual tea in here. And I don't actually need any black tea if I don't want it. But you could, at this point, put in really any kind of tea that you want. If you wanted it to be green tea or black tea or decaffeinated tea or no actual tea at all. So I'm actually just gonna leave it out for now. But this would be a place where you would just let it let it soak. So actually what we did here is what we call a decoction, where we take the liquids and with all the spices and then it boils and we let it boil down and then it becomes more concentrated and so you can taste all those flavors. And we taste the flavors more because I use those spices and I ground them up, you know, in the mortar and pestle too, and that makes a difference. So now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to strain everything out. So I'm going to pour it all through here. So it's all out. And then I spilled a bunch. And then these are all those spices. And I got to tell you guys, I wish you could smell this because it smells so good. And it's so yummy. So again, if you wanted, you know, you could keep it like this. Like I'm gonna leave it without tea or anything in it because I'm gonna give it to my son and I don't want him to be all white or anything. But you know, you could keep it and then rewarm it and add black tea or whatever you want. And that's it for today. Thanks for listening.